It started like any other Sunday night. I had just wrapped up a pretty exhausting work week, the kind filled with back-to-back meetings, stressful deadlines, and everything in between. To unwind, I decided to visit my favorite bar downtown. It's a small cozy spot where everyone knows your name and you can always find a quiet corner to sip a cold drink without distractions. I walked in, greeted the bartender, and took my usual seat by the window. The vibe was relaxed and the bar wasn't too crowded. Yet I ordered a beer and leaned back, letting the weight of the week finally lift off my shoulders. I hadn't planned on doing anything special, just a quiet, peaceful night to recharge. As I sat there scrolling through my phone, the door swung open. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I saw her, my wife. At first I almost didn't recognize her. It wasn't that she looked different, but the way she walked and caught me off guard. She seemed like she wanted to draw attention, which was unusual for her. She had always been reserved, not the type to enter a room with such confidence. She was laughing and chatting, and then I saw him, the man by her side. I froze. I recognized him immediately. It was James, a guy from work. We weren't close, but we had exchanged pleasantries at a few events. He always seemed like a decent enough guy, or so I thought. They walked over to a table just a few feet away from me. I don't know if they didn't see me or if they simply didn't care, but they sat down. They were laughing, whispering, and leaning into each other. The chemistry between them was undeniable. My heart dropped to my stomach. It was as if time had stopped, and I was frozen in place, unable to process what I was seeing. So many questions flooded my mind. What was going on? Why was she here with him? How long had this been happening? I wanted to confront her, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way they looked at each other. Maybe it was the way she laughed, a laugh I hadn't heard in a long time. I sat there, a mix of anger, confusion, and betrayal swirling inside me. How had I not seen this coming? I thought we had a happy marriage. Sure, things had felt a little off lately. We were both busy with work, and she had seemed less affectionate, but I brushed it off. I convinced myself everything was fine now. Here she was sitting across from another man, laughing in a way that reminded me of how things used to be between us. I tried to listen to their conversation, but they were speaking in low voices. Every time they laughed or shared a private joke, it felt like a knife twisting in my heart. How could she do this to me? How could she betray our trust? I wanted to storm over and confront them, but I was paralyzed. Instead, I sat there seething, trying to make sense of it all. I thought about all the times I had trusted her, defended her, and believed in our relationship, and now all of it felt like a lie. As I watched their small gestures of affection, brushing hands, exchanging soft smiles, became unbearable. My heart sank deeper with every moment. This wasn't just a casual meeting. There was something deeper between them, and the realization cut me to my core. I couldn't stay there any longer, but I didn't want to leave either. I needed answers. What had she been hiding from me? What was going on behind my back? After what felt like an eternity of watching them, I decided I had to confront her. It wasn't the ideal moment, and I wasn't sure how to approach her, but I couldn't let this continue. I stood up, took a deep breath, and walked over to their table. As I approached, I could feel the tension in the air. My wife didn't notice me at first, but when she did, her face froze. She went pale. James, on the other hand, looked up, slightly startled, but not surprised. He must have known I would figure it out eventually. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. What's going on? Her eyes started between me and James. For a second she looked like she was searching for the right words, but there were none. Nothing she could say would justify what was happening. John, the first I can explain, she stammered. I didn't want to hear explanations. I didn't want any more lies, but I stayed quiet, waiting for her to speak. James spoke up before she could. Look, man, this isn't how I wanted to go down. I cut him off. I'm not here to talk to you. I'm talking to her. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of everything that had been building up inside me. My wife opened her mouth to say something, but I couldn't hear it. Everything felt distant. My head was spinning, my heart racing, and I could feel the tears welling up, but I refused To let them fall. I never thought you would do this to me, I said, my voice shaking. How long, wife's name, how long have you been seeing him? The silence between us felt suffocating, as if time had stopped. She opened her mouth again, but no words came out. James stood up from his seat and guilt was written all over his face, but my attention was solely on her. Finally she spoke, in her words at me like a punch to the gut. I've been seeing him for months. I'm sorry, I never wanted you to find out like this. Months. The ground beneath me felt like it was crumbling. For months I had been living a lie, completely unaware of what was happening right under my nose. The rest of the night was a blur. I don't even remember how I left the bar, but I know I didn't go home immediately. I needed to be alone. I needed to process everything. Over the next few days I went over every single moment in my mind, every little sign I had missed, the late nights, the excuses, the growing between us. It all started to make sense, but understanding didn't make it any easier. When I confronted my wife again, there were no more lies. She confessed everything, the affair, how it had started, and why she did it, but I wasn't sure I could forgive her. I wasn't even sure I wanted to. The trust had been shattered, and no matter what she said I couldn't unsee what I had witnessed. Weeks have passed since that night, and I'm still trying to figure out what comes next. Divorce, reconciliation, honestly I don't know. What I do know is this trust is fragile, and once it's broken it's nearly impossible to rebuild. I never thought I would be in this situation, but life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. This story is far from I'm still processing everything that's happened. Maybe, in time, I'll find a way to move forward. But for now, I'm just trying to find peace, whatever that looks like.